Throughout the committee's report, they note 6 times, quote, "The Select Committee is not revealing the identity of this witness to guard against the risk of retaliation." So on national security grounds and on retaliation grounds, they were careful about this stuff. Right? They're revealing thousands of transcripts and documents, including a whole bunch that were just posted late last night. But a handful of identities and pieces of specific information were held back by them because of threats, because of the risk of retaliation, or because of national security concerns. Well, those risks increase tomorrow at noon when the committee that conducted the January 6th investigation dissolves with the current Congress. The concern is that the Republicans who are taking control of the Congress, they might choose to reveal the identity of witnesses like that, despite the perceived threat to such witnesses. That's a real concern that the committee is trying to head off right down to the wire as they head toward the hard constitutional deadline of tomorrow at noon. Joining us now is California Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren. She's a member of the House's January 6th investigation. Congresswoman Lofgren, I know it's a busy time. I appreciate you making time to be with us here tonight. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
First, let me just ask you if I'm characterizing this the right way. We noticed those letters from the committee to the White House and the Homeland Security Department effectively conveying a bunch of material to the White House and to Homeland Security for them to review, sort of taking it out of the hands of Congress. It would appear to be that that's an effort to try to keep that sensitive material kept confidential. Is that correct?
Well, the committee discussed this some time ago, and it's just the volume of work that needed to get done, getting everything out the door. So this wasn't a last-minute decision at all. There were just a very few witnesses, not decision makers, who were assured of confidentiality for national security and potential retaliation grounds. And so we have sent that to the White House for review. Under the National Records Act, the executive branch makes determinations about level of risk, national security matters, and the like before sending them to the archives. So that's that process. The Homeland Security letter is a slightly different issue. We ended up getting an enormous volume of information from the Secret Service. And they sent it to us because we were pushing and we needed it right away without doing the redactions themselves for security purposes or personal identifying information. And we promised not to reveal that. So we've sent that back. Some of it, if revealed, would compromise protection of the president and vice president in the future. So they've got to go through and make those determinations. Classification is not something the Congress does. That's something only the executive branch does. And after they've finished with that, then they would send that over to the archives as well. And then we'll see where it is. I mean, if somebody wants to get information that has been designated secure, there's a whole process in the act about how you sort through that. And that's not something I expect to be involved in if Republicans in the House decide they want to get some of this information. But I think it would be very irresponsible to give individual names out. We know what happens on the internet. People who are marginal mentally and emotionally go after innocent people, and we don't want that to happen.
Are you worried about that in a theoretical sense because they could potentially try to do that? Or have there been threats from the incoming Republican majority that they do want to do that?
Well, there's been a discussion about investigating the investigation. I think if they do that, they will be sad because everything that we found is the same narrative. There's no counter narrative in the evidence that we found. I mean, there it is. And I think it would not profit them if they're trying to defend the ex-president's lies about this. But there have been some extravagant claims made by individual members. I don't want to say that that's going to be what the official position will be of the incoming Republican majority. But we did I think it was 4 individuals who had sensitive positions. They were witnesses, not decision makers. And we did promise our best efforts for confidentiality for those individuals.